my computer wants to do. All right, y'all. This is another Trent Knox show. For those of you who are tuned in on Twitch, YouTube, or Periscope, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to the live episode of this podcast. Today I want to talk about, stress, and the title of this podcast is Rest and Relaxation. And I did a podcast, a solo cast that I didn't put out because I felt like I was trying too hard to describe my understanding of what I believe to be identity. And I don't think that everybody who thinks about identity thinks about it in the same way that I do, or has my perspective, and it does kind of keep me kind of FOMOing about not putting it out, because the potential that someone has gone through a situation like me in their life, and maybe they would benefit from my perspective or what I expected on identity. I didn't feel right putting it out. I felt like a lot about what I was talking about politics and my life experiences and family, friends, acquaintances, and how that has shaped my identity. Wasn't what I wanted to be. It wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to be comfortable airing out or putting out there on the record. So I have that episode. It may or may not come out later, in a later time after it's been edited or something like that, but we'll see. But today is all about rest and relaxation. I kind of got forced to take this day off because, I had to be conscientious about my surroundings and conscientious about my family and whatnot. And today was just one of those days that, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. You're having a struggle to get going, and this is one of those days. Let me kind of give you a reason why. Last night, somebody got into a car accident, and God bless. Hopefully, they're fine. And they hit a transponder and blew out the power for 4 hours, or maybe 3 hours. It was some time last night, and the whole house, air conditioning, all the power was out, so it was baking inside of the house. I live in Texas, so it was really humid. There's no electricity, so no ability to turn on anything. But my first concern was my grandmother, who I live with. She works in the morning. She gets up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I thought, oh no, power went out, alarm clock is not going to go off, because she's, old school, still using an alarm clock. And so I went and I knocked on her door, woke her up. I said, hey, you're going to have to set your alarm clock on your cell phone, because the powers went out and your clock is going to be reset and your alarm's not going to go off in the morning to wake you up to go to work. So she said she didn't know how to do that, so I did it for her, and I set the alarm clock so that she would be able to wake up and go to work and be okay. So I think that since I wasn't able to get any sleep, and I had stayed up late, listening to other podcasts and whatnot, and ended up staying up and watching a couple other live streams, and it was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and or maybe just 2. I don't remember. I remember waking up and like kind of not being rustling in my sleep and not being able to wake up, or not being able to go to sleep and get good sleep. I'm still haven't slept really well, but I wanted to. I had things that I needed to do that weren't work related that I needed to get done today. But I was just fighting and struggling, and I was mentally upset at myself today for being lazy and not grinding as hard as I possibly can. Hustling till you fall on your ass. And I guess that's kind of what happened, was that I was, hustling, trying to get the cash for the past week and a half, straight, working every single day, doing either Postmates or Instacart to get that money and get that bag and put it together, for the upcoming bills, and potentially growing and building out the equipment that I have for podcasting, making it an overall better experience for myself as I'm creating this content that I'm doing, is like podcasts, live streams, and whatnot. And my mind is just always racing and thinking about the next place to get leverage to be able to get some sort of accomplishment done. And whether that's focusing on playing Apex Legends, or focusing on doing a podcast, focusing on work, focusing on social life, just looking for something to satisfy that drive, that urge to always be productive. And I talked about this on a previous episode of the podcast about productivity versus idleness. And I guess there's a point at which you get to the point at which your body, situations, the world, you hit the limitations that your environment has for you. So once you reach those limitations, your body may start depreciating, your physical endurance might go down, and you can continue press, and keep on doing your best. And the whole objective, I guess, is to not diversify, but innovate is good. Maybe that's the word for it, where you just improve on your ability to manage your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, and all those things that go into being at your A game and achieving all of the things that you want to accomplish. And so today I had to take a day off because I just mentally was kind of not in the place to go out and drive all day and be concerned about how I'm going to achieve the objective today. And I have the itch to go out and work and win at the game of Postmates and Instacart, but the game just keeps changing. They keep on doing patches and updates on the Postmates and the Instacart app, and the changes create inconsistencies where you kind of just have to sit back. And that's, I guess, why I'm in this place of relaxation and rest and relaxation is because now I have to sit back and I have to see how the adjustments are made with these new patches and updates to Postmates and Instacart. And also, I'm kind of disappointed in myself because while I'm kind of resting and relaxing, I could be achieving other objectives that I have set aside from those two main focuses of Postmates and Instacart. I could be having my car detailed so that I can do Uber as well. I could be doing one objective that I feel like I accomplished today was fixing the Austin Live and Local website because it's been down for I don't know how long. It's been down for a while since I had the domain re-registered, and I had to do a domain transfer from GoDaddy to Google Domains. And then so I've had this, I didn't even know that this problem was occurring, so I've had no contact, I've had no emails coming in from the Austin Live and Local platforms. And then like today's the first day that the emails are coming back through because the MX records weren't set correctly. So this whole past 4 months, the website's been down, and I didn't even know I had just put Austin Live and Local on a back burner because I was so focused on reorganizing my life after what had happened last year in the fourth quarter of 2018, because the fourth quarter of 2018 for me was a really hard personal it was a real big personal struggle, and I had put myself in situations where I wasn't working in my best interests. I was trying to do things, but they were just not working, and the communication with people wasn't working. I was doing so many things that I don't do anymore. I don't do it the way that I was doing it before. And while I was trying to communicate with people who could have helped me, I think they understood. I think that they were concerned about They weren't even thinking about me. Like, the people that were concerned and thinking about me were the people that I was interacting with in the wrong way. In that I was spending time with people that weren't working towards my best interests. What's up, Bay Life AT? I'm recording a podcast right now about my work, about Instacart and Postmates and some of my other media work that I do, like Austin Live and Local is a press outlet of mine. Cyber City Media is another outlet, and then there's also Trent Knox TV, which is basically my life and what I got going on. Today, like I was just talking about, well, I took the day off, and I'm just talking about kind of the interpersonal relationships that I have with my friends, my family, my acquaintances, my online friends, my the people who watch my Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube, people who listen to the podcast, just kind of getting them up to date about where I am at, because I got to relax today, take a day off, and relax, sort of, because my mind's still racing around, trying to figure out how I can get the next opportunity, be on the next level, whether that's, being a live streamer, a podcaster, a vlogger, uh, Instacart driver, a Postmates driver, an Uber driver, figuring out what will work best for me to be able to maintain a lifestyle, be able to pay my bills, something like my car payment, which that's honestly kind of like just to remind me of where I'm at. I'm kind of behind the eight ball because I made some poor decisions when I was younger about getting into car loans and making financial decisions that didn't benefit me for a long time. It wasn't until, maybe this year or last year that I got the mentality to work harder on not overdoing not overdoing the wrong thing, like, not getting involved with people that aren't always, that not trying to be aware of how people can affect your life negatively. So interacting with people like that don't do a lot of the things that you do. So if you like video games, or you like rap music, or you like country music or whatnot, you kind of need to be able to diversify, which is what I like to do. I like to find people who are not like me, maybe to like improve myself, improve the knowledge of what I know. But then sometimes that can backfire, and they may think that you're making fun of them, or you're making fun of them, or you're not like them. So then they either they treat you differently than they would treat someone who is just like them. Like, they don't see the perspective of that someone's trying to do something new. But anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to figure out on this day that I have off what my next opportunity is. Whether that's focusing on, what should I focus my mind on most? Is it, the goals that are set within Postmates and Instacart, and the game that Postmates and Instacart are, or Uber, if I go and focus on the goals of Uber? Or do I look and focus on live streaming, podcasting, doing those things? And this is a gamble, live streaming, doing podcasts, because you never know when it's going to pay off. You never know when you've streamed enough hours, you've got enough followers, you've got enough of a portfolio to be recognized by the platforms like Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, all these media distribution platforms. And when people start to not people, but when the platforms start to recognize you as a content creator, or someone who could provide that platform value, that's good, but it's a grind to get there. And I don't necessarily know that the grind on something like live streaming, doing podcasts, being a vlogger, a content creator, a media producer, is easier or harder than being a day laborer. That's essentially what it is. It's either a media producer or a day laborer, somebody who washes cars in the service industry. You know, the entertainment business versus the service industry, they're kind of, the service industry and the entertainment business kind of go hand in hand, right? Uh that's why, like in LA, like the cliche is that, you work at Starbucks, and then maybe you get discovered um, by an agent, or discovered by a manager, and those managers or agents work for an agency or a management company that gets you in the right place, the right time, in order to give you an opportunity to be successful in the entertainment industry. But you have to piggy while you're working towards that, you have to make an income, a living, doing some sort of work. You know, unless you are not like me and you didn't make the mistake, or you didn't take advantage of an opportunity in college. Because for me, I went to college for media production, film production at the University of Hawaii, and I almost didn't graduate because I couldn't pass the language courses. I had to have my family help me out, more specifically my mom, towards the end, because I wasn't able to write the papers on my own I couldn't. I needed someone to peer check the papers, and I had no friends. I had no acquaintances. I had no one at that level with me, and I managed to get through the program. I graduated from the Academy of Creative Media at the University of Hawaii in 2015. But at the same time, it didn't really matter if I graduated, because the program didn't provide me with any opportunities once I graduated. There was like there was the I mean, I I did the internship for Hawaii 50 in my senior year, that was supposed to be the stepping stone for me to get into the industry, but I couldn't afford to stay in Hawaii, and I couldn't afford to, move to LA and then just make my life out there, because like I said before, I made a lot of mistakes as a young person. And those mistakes have haunted me to this day. And my ignorance, because I'm dumb, I'm not that smart. I mean, at this time I'm a lot more smart than I was before. But when I was a kid, I was dumb. I was ignorant. I was naive. I made these mistakes that a young a young man shouldn't make. You know, being well aware of the consequences of interacting with anyone, being in any shape or form, communicating physical with anyone. And I mean, it make people will think what they think, and I realized this from a live stream. When I first saw live streaming, this guy, he was doing this show called This Is Mason. And it was this guy, Mason Reed, and he's doing a social experiment on Ustream. And that was the first time I ever saw live streaming. I think it might have been the first time. I remember it's the first time I ever watched it. That was 2009, I think, or maybe 2008. And I just really enjoyed watching that show. And that kind of got me into watching live streams. But it wasn't until about 2011 or 12 that I personally got into it. And I did it in 2011. And that was on Ustream that I did that. I did that show, and the negative feedback that I got from my family, and it was weird because my grandfather, he got angry at me for saying things, being being a public person on Twitter. He was like tweeting at me saying like, watch what you say, do what, and it's like, it's not like I didn't know that myself. Like, I can't have my own opinions or something like that. It's like, I don't know, social media, whatever. But like, especially when, you have older individuals looking out at you all the time, looking over you, always like, on, putting their perspective in the world, and their perspective is just you. Like, it's your parents or your friends or your acquaintances, your teachers, your colleagues, the ones that look at you and at first and create this perception of what is right and wrong, but they don't know. And then I think that, oh man, I just wish that I never stopped. I wish I never stopped in 2011, but it was because of my stepdad and my mom who limited my thinking on this, and made me fearful and made me scared. It was, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. I can't understand, because I was so ahead. I was so ahead of the game then. For me, like, I was 18 years old, man. I can't believe it. I mean, there were a lot of other people who were more ahead of it than me. But this was like before IRL streaming was IRL streaming. In 2010, 2011, I was live streaming and doing this exact same thing out of my dormitory. And it was way different back then. And I was using a laptop. It was my like Asus laptop. And I wish I had those videos still. I wish they were still available. I had put them up on YouTube. I think I put it up on YouTube. I had a website. I was doing blogs. It was like, for me, it was like something crazy. But obviously there had already been, I think Perez Hilton was already big. I know that, Ashton Kutcher had a big Twitter back in that day, 2011, 2010-ish. And I never used Twitter back then. All the people that were in the dorm used Twitter to like communicate with each other, and I didn't really even know about things like that back then. Back then, my understanding, my perspective on social media was like, I played games on social media. Back in that day, on social media, I played 2 games. I played maybe more than that, actually. Back in the day, you used to play. Back then, not back in the day. Back then, you used to play Farmville. You used to play. Mafia on there. You used to play. This car game. I forgot what the car game was, but like, you got a car. It kind of looked like those Chevron cars with the eyes and stuff like that. But I can't remember what that game was called. But back then, man, things were way different. Social media had like a gamified to it, and that kind of has gone away. Like, the whole Words with Friends was big for a while. Draw with me or whatever, but like now, those type of things are not as like whenever I see people on Twitch or on YouTube or whatnot, they're not talking about how they're interacting with other people on a game like that, draw with me or any of those type of things. Everybody's playing like Clash of Clans. Everybody's doing like competitive gaming, like, but not at that. Nobody's playing those like click games, those story-based games, really, on Facebook or social media as a social game. Like, I remember when I was doing that, like, invite my friends, and you'd get bonuses for inviting your friends for playing the game. But I don't remember if there was even anything such as microtransactions back then. But I was playing that. I was playing World of Warcraft. and that was, I graduated from high school. Then I went and I didn't even play. I really just played Madden, and I really played FIFA. I played Call of Duty my freshman year in 2011. But I was doing the blog and the thing, and I wrote a couple different pieces, and I wish I still had that stuff. I wish I still had that website, but it just, it's gone. And I was learning so much. I'm surprised I didn't get into blockchain currency back then. I was so close to getting to that too. I was so close to getting invested in blockchain back in 2011, before all of this, before all of what it is today. And I think it's a bit strange, obviously, that I am where I'm at today, as far as like kind of stuck, maybe mentally or physically or emotionally stuck. It's kind of the way that I feel. I think that a lot of the things that I didn't do in the past, it's hindsight's 2020. If I had made that, if I really had worked as hard as I could, and at that time I didn't see any, like, I was just doing it. There wasn't this the monetization that there is today. Now, there were a lot of other folks there. I mean, there are a lot of other folks out there, that will come from the original Justin TV days, and there's a lot of folks who came off of Ustream from back in the day that have put in the work. Their lives were different. Whatever they were doing was different from what I was doing. I'd never played a video game. Like Twitch, for me, the community of people who played games and streamed them, that didn't even click with me until 2013, I think. 2013 is the first time I ever saw someone stream a game live. Now, I'd seen YouTube gaming videos and whatnot, but I had never seen anybody live stream game footage until 2013, which is crazy because I would have thought I'd saw it before, but I guess there was like a real small group of people who were doing that. Or maybe it was just like the discoverability of people streaming games wasn't there. I don't really remember. But anyway, this is a whole long story about to explain basically that that it's a gamble to get into the entertainment industry, and a lot of the times when I bet my coin on the entertainment industry, I lost or got a lot of negative feedback. More so now, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, but at the same time, it's like, I remember when people were saying things, and maybe I'm just like, maybe I was being a pussy about it, and I wasn't being, I wasn't standing my ground, about how I had this wild, I didn't have the full conception of it. Now I kind of do. I get it. Like at this, maybe I'm a little bit too late to the party. You know what I mean? At this point in time, because there are gonna be people. There's gonna be people who come out with new things. There's gonna be people who understand what's new, what's gonna be the next trend. People who can get to it quicker. Be successful. They're gonna utilize their financial resources or their artistic abilities to get there. And I really hope that those people are successful, and I hope that they're great at doing it. I just, for me personally, I feel disappointed in myself. I wish I had not listened to the naysayers and I wish I'd heard the people who were being positive, because back then, man, I was fighting the people who were being positive because the naysayers were my family a lot of the time. There were some people who were like, "What are you doing?" That weren't like related or anything like that. But like the people that mattered to me most, my family, were not being supportive of me back then. Back then, when I started that vlog, when I did the live streams, when I was on the internet creating content, but that wasn't even what it was. That's not even the way that I conceptually thought of it back then. I was just doing something. I hadn't been doing anything. Why? At the time. And then everything went downhill. Everything. They wanted to suppress too much. They they not not they, but I didn't have the guidance, and I think that that's what people are looking for today in live streaming and in management, in agency. They're looking for someone with the guidance to say to understand the negativity that can come from being being told that you're not good enough, that you're not being what people want you to be. But that's not how people become successful. People become successful by doing things that are out of the ordinary, that are extraordinary, that are creative, that are new, that is something that people didn't see coming. You know, the coolest thing since sliced bread, the invention of toilet paper, the the tissue, all the things that no one saw coming were the people who were most successful. Maybe not the most notoriety, but financial, social, within their own circles, whatever it may be. And I think that I think that people, new content creators that are coming out, are starting their content creation. It's become more socially acceptable to be someone who makes videos. Maybe it's still a bit like you always get questioned about your authority on the subject matter, or your validity, or your integrity, or these type of things. Like, who are you? How like in a negative way. And then you have to kind of explain to people the things that validate you as a person in the industry. And I think that one of the things that the entertainment industry cannibalizes itself on is that a lot of people who have been successful in the entertainment industry demonize the education system. That they think that these certain individuals who are in the education system, educating people on film, on social media, on all these different aspects of the entertainment industry, are gatekeeping, and that all you need to do is get technical schooling or on the job training, OTJ, in order to be successful in the entertainment industry. But that's just not true. It's not true. The issue now becomes is that these people who are in the industry, who believe that OTJ is the way to get to being successful in the industry, are gatekeeping against the people who aren't socially connected, don't have the communication skills, that aren't prepared to be thrust uh, into notoriety or into application based work. They're not prepared mentally for the struggles that come with it. So then the industry is always on hiatus, always destroying itself and cannibalizing, instead of there being and a certain demographic of people like to say that it's there's a never ending opportunity. However, if everybody knows that in Hollywood, in the business, in the entertainment business, that it's all about who you know. It's about the perspective that other people have on you. It's about how other people's perception is of you. So if you're an actor, if you're a vocal artist, an MP3 player, that's funny. That's a funny joke. If you're someone who is a musician, or somebody, what I was laughing about and the joke that I just thought of was that anybody who's making music today and is in the game of the music industry is an MP3 player. But unless you're older demographic, you wouldn't even know what an MP3 player is. I mean, an MP3 player is, you might know what an MP3 is, which is a data file, but an MP3 player, those things are becoming archaic. It's like your cell phone, technically speaking, your smartphone is an MP3 player, but you wouldn't think about the file that way. At least normal people who are not technically savvy wouldn't be considering what an MP3 player is, or not what an MP3 is, let alone a WAV file or high fidelity file. But I think that breaking into the entertainment industry, which Twitch is an entertainment industry, Periscope, YouTube, they're all forms or fashions of the entertainment industry, is a struggle. And you could, be, have gone to college, had on the job training, gone to technical school, been born into a family of people in the industry, gotten lucky, any number of things, but never really find success. And it is true that success in the entertainment industry is determined by your own perspective. So if you're someone who's values money more, then your success rate is going to be based on your finances and how much money you're making from your art, or from other people, or helping other people make their art. It could be also determined on resume, based on your your notoriety, your social status. Whereas whenever you start thinking about this in other industries, like maybe finance or manufacturing, or business, science kind of the same, actually. Science is very closely related to the entertainment industry, because or being an author, because these kind of fit into the entertainment industries. The more notoriety you have as a scientist, as being right, or being correct, or being scientifically well respected, is essentially what validates a scientist. You know what I mean? Or you know what, a developer or someone, an engineer, something like that. The notoriety of the success of your product. But there are a lot of people out there who just find a happy medium and find where they feel like they've found balance and that they have enough to um, to survive and live the lifestyle that they want to live. I guess that comes to like a conclusion in my mind of that I'm hungry. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm never going to have enough because there's always going to be some new opportunity. There's always going to be a business thing that I can chase uh, and get more happiness because I feel like I'm like in a weird place in between sadness and happiness right now where I'm sad in two ways. I'm sad that I feel like I can't go get it, like it's out of reach. I'm sad about that. But I'm also kind of sad that I'm overthinking it, or I may be overthinking it. I'm also like happy to have the opportunity to do it, but I'm also kind of happy that they don't have it because that gives me something to do. Is go get it. But at the same time, do I have all the tools to go get it? And if I got it, what would I think about that? Would it be enough to just have it? Or would I want? But another thing that makes me happy is having something and then passing that down to someone else so that they can find happiness in it. And that's I guess that's why I like respect a lot of live streamers who are successful today, because maybe they saw my stuff back when I did it and I got rid of it. Maybe somebody saw it. Maybe they made something out of it. Maybe that could be the case. Maybe I'm not alone. Maybe people are like understand where I'm coming from, where they feel like that they're stuck. Maybe they feel like, you know, when they're not at the, you know, highest levels of their entrepreneurial abilities, they feel like they're not enough, or they're not doing enough, they're not being good enough, great enough, excellent enough. Maybe people feel like that, and maybe one day there will be a place for people to really get something from that, and you know, not have to pay $58 to go see Gary V, one person, you know, to get empathy, to get not have to pay to get happiness. You know, maybe there's a place that you can go that happiness is there, and the cost of admission isn't um, is equal, or the cost of admission is equal or better than the cost of admission is lower than the amount of expectation. So whenever you go to something, you get happiness out of it, instead of a state of depression where there's no, you're gambling on the everyone's constantly gambling on whether something will bring that satisfaction, you know? And for me, I think there's just pieces of I'm taking bits and pieces of conceptualizations and ideas from from different influences, and trying to make something that's going to make me satisfied about the content that I create. And I'm also thinking about what the gamble is for me, you know, especially since I want to be on 4 platforms. I want to be on YouTube, I want to be on Twitch, I want to be on Periscope, I want to be YouTube, Periscope, Facebook. I want to be on Facebook. I honestly would love to get MySpace back and live stream on MySpace. That's 5. I want to be on all platforms live streaming. I want to be readily accessible. I want people to learn from my mistakes, that were existed, and I can talk about those mistakes even though they weren't well documented, unfortunately, because people were always telling me that you have to be, the online, you're always supposed to be living your best life, that you can never show the dirt, the grind, the hard part of life, the struggles, the frustrations, the problems, that you always have to be giving the perfect imagery. Life's not like that. Maybe that's life for other folks, who grew up in, with a family that had $1 million and they could do whatever they want, and there was they had, they had people who were teaching them social skills, that they were born without, limitations, that they had no hindrances towards their success. They had all of the opportunities in the world. Maybe those people are always positive and always, or maybe they're always negative and they're always destructive. Maybe they're always positive and they're always promoting. Maybe, somebody with a trust fund, the never ending money, they could do whatever, and they could, help people, just continually just pumping them full of money. I guess it's something that I think a lot of people think about, but I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I've never really sat down with enough people. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people who are struggling, and they bring this up a lot. They bring up people like me who are struggling. I spend a lot of time with people who struggle. I don't spend a lot of time with people who don't struggle, who are living life, and I've spent time with people who have no reason to struggle, Maybe I have no reason to struggle. I mean, if I'm, thinking about my life internally, if I knew more about myself, which I don't know that much, I know about 50% of, and this goes back to the identity thing. I know 50% of the person I am. And then the other 50, I probably only know 25%, because I know 25% of what I believe I am. Then 25% is what the perspective of other people. And then there's just 50% of what I don't have any idea. Like, I have no idea that it's like a black cloud that's always following me of information that I'm not aware of. So I'm sitting with 25% of the deck. I'm working with 25% of the deck, and I'm trying to make my 25% look like 75. And I'm like barely making that happen. And I feel like I have a headache, or like I'm missing 75% of my brain, And because if everyone knew more about, there are a lot of people out there who know who their father, their mother is, their heritage down to the grain. They know everything about everything that ever happened in history, because it's all recorded and down in books, so that if they look back, they'd know exactly what had happened in their ancestors and their history, and and they have stories that are passed down through time. But my family doesn't seem to do that. And it comes to a point at which, And mind you, there are a lot of people out there who are successful who have no idea who they are, because God forbid their families disown them. God forbid they were thrown out in the street. God forbid their family died or something like that. I don't know. God forbid those things. But which makes me very sad to think about that, because I think I met a lot of people who, their family died early. Their earlier in their lives, they never knew their biological family because for whatever reason something went wrong. I don't know. And maybe maybe that's determined on perspective. Maybe that was the greatest thing that ever could happen to them in their lives, because their family were addicted to drugs and alcohol or something like that, and not having them in the picture may have made for a better life. But that's not determinate in the present. That's determinate in the future. And unfortunately, no one can ever predict the future as well as we would like. I mean, we can speculate. We can, gamble and speculate. We can do as much as we can to do things. We can, try to be successful in different industries. We can try and build relationships with people we find that love us, that are looking out for our best interests. I I just I just wish that people like myself, like me, I wish I myself was a little bit more aware of how not to be as hard on myself, because I think that would make it easier for me to be more physically fit, emotionally fit, financially stable, mentally stable, all of the things that kind of talk about to have stability in life, to feel like that I'm not always running downhill, or I'm not always running downhill to the bottom, and that I'm not working too hard to get to the top, you know, or that I'm not in some sort of weird, fourth dimensional spiral that just repeats itself over and over and over again, and that ultimately I'm actually getting somewhere, that I'm not just streaming for no reason, that I'm not just working service jobs that depreciate the person that I am, and that I'm not driving the wheels off of my car, that I'm not losing business assets, that I'm not making the wrong decisions in partnerships, that I'm making the right decisions, and being conscientious, being conscious of my decisions. Because a lot of the time, I feel like the gambles, just constantly in life, we're gambling, and the people who struggle in life are constantly gambling. The people who don't struggle in life aren't. There's no reason. They're not gambling because they already have the success. They already know it. They already. And I say this, but then I constantly am hearing these stories about these trust fund or lottery winners or whatnot that they couldn't find the thing they were looking for. That it was just that they never felt quite enough, or they made poor decisions and it took their lives in a different direction than they had suspected it would. And maybe that's because of the balance of other people who are, wealthy, and they never, and those other people who are wealthy, their wealth was depreciated by the wealth of this person who became successful of from the other thing. But maybe those people didn't have the right perspective, or they were, trying to create conflict or chaos in a situation that needed more order. And I feel like a lot of what's going on, especially in Twitch, I mean Periscope and YouTube obviously. Periscope, what is it? Like, really, I don't really see, there's not even like a real discussion. There's no discoverability. There's no like real opportunity off of that. I'm kind of curious about IGTV and Instagram Live for certain. Facebook Live, obviously. There's something there, but not sure what it is. There's Mixer. There's other platforms out there, Caffeine, for live content creation. But it kind of, the current successful place to do live streaming right now is Twitch. Some YouTube. YouTube's probably second. But on Twitch, the people who are currently successful at live streaming for like in real life content, just chatting, personality streamers, it's the toxicity between the circle of people who are in the circle of success, people who are successful at it. There's no division. That everybody is working together. There's no conflict, and there needs to be a voice of stop participating with each other if you believe that they're morally or ethically not working in the same way that you think that things should be done. And there should be a conversation, but Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, they should all be having a conversation publicly with their content creators. So, and it should be more professional, in my opinion. The people that they have deemed professional aren't successful. There needs to be professional and successful. Those two things need to happen, and they need to occur in order for somebody to be ideal. I think there are people that they have chosen to be the spokespeople that don't represent the platform. For instance, like a DJ Wheat, he doesn't represent the platform. More so, maybe a Dan's Game, but I think that the type of language that I think maybe it should be regional. I think that maybe like there needs to be Southern representation for, I think that globally there needs to be representation, but each different place has a different perspective. Maybe there needs to be collegiate representation, but some way, because these platforms are too damn strong. The ability for these platforms to influence the people based on numerics and analytics, they're just too damn strong. And they're having someone, there needs to be some sort of political, there needs to have some sort of discourse, and it needs to be maybe that Twitch, there needs to be some sort of platform where the content creators own the platform, and that there's a public discussion of what that it's employee owned or content creator owned, and that the value that the value that goes in is returned back to the content creators, and that there's some sort of stability in the platform instead of Amazon, Google, Twitter owning these things privately. There needs to be a public platform where the content creators own the company, and there is a voice, you know. And maybe that the problem with it all is that this digital apparatus, it doesn't really matter, because we see that voter fraud and all kinds of things have affected the analog system of the United States of America, the voting system. But there's got to be some sort of voting system, and we don't have, and that the people who are speaking for the platform, whether that's Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, is reflectant of the majority of the people on the platform. But whenever you have, if you just look at the numbers, it doesn't, the people who are speaking for Twitch does not reflect the content creators. Those people that are speaking for the platform don't look like them, don't talk like them, don't act like them. Nothing about them reflects it. So, kind of bothers me, you know, and maybe that's because when I look at the content creators on the people that are successful, are not successful, but speak for the platform, they're from a different cut of the cloth when it comes to the universities system. They don't represent the system. They don't represent the university system. They don't represent Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, any of that, you know? And they're putting more money in their pockets than they're putting out. They're into the pockets of the people who are creating the content. Unless you're part of this, you know, underhanded bullshit ring of being possessed by an entity that doesn't reflect what's actually going on. Like, you why not be possessed by yourself? Why do you have to be signed to a manager or an agency that's not working out for your best interests, looking out for your best interests? And then you're supposed to you know, sell out your community so that they'll go spend time with another person on your label that doesn't reflect your interests. That doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. I'll take all the labels and throw them all in the garbage. You know what I mean? We'll make a new label. We'll do whatever. You know what I mean? Make something successful out of something that doesn't exist already. Be an innovator. Being a trendsetter. Instead of following trends, be a trendsetter. That's what I'm aiming at. That's what I'm going for. Not everyone, you know, is cut out to be that. I understand. But a lot of people have to have 2 days of rest and relaxation. A lot of people have to rest on their laurels. Have to be, you know, they're not self-sufficient. They're dependent on a system, you know. And I feel that way all the time. I feel like I'm not independent enough. I feel like I wish there was something that I could, you know, fall back on that met the whatever the numeric value of things are, you know. And I think a lot of people are complaining. I feel like a lot of people who are successful or from from I guess whose perspective. I mean, a lot of people talk about view count. A lot of people talk about sub count. A lot of people talk about uh, donation count. A lot of people talk about follower count. Whatever it is. Uh, I think that people need to stop being so complaining, so bitching about being successful. Like their numbers, their numbers are up. They're not in the bottom three. They're at the top, and they're not. They're number one, number two, number three, number four, number. They're fighting for position. In the top 10, and it's like, why are you complaining? Like, you should be humble. You should be understanding of your situation, how successful you are. Maybe I'm complaining, but I don't know where. Like, I just don't have perspective, and I wish somebody would give me that perspective so I can understand. Because, I might be in the top 10 of 0 viewers. And maybe I'm just looking at it from the wrong perspective, the whole game's about to flip on its head in June, which is interesting because that's something that Twitch is going to be doing. I think I'm going to repost the keynote from Twitch and kind of give you guys an idea of what is about to happen, what's really going to change the game, because the system is about to be like a washing machine. Everybody's going to be throwing their coins in because Twitch is really the epicenter of live stream. There were a lot of things that were predecessors to. I mean, is that the right word? There's a lot of things that came before Twitch. Ustream, live stream, Periscope. There are a lot. There are a lot of live platforms that came before. Chat roulette, kind of. But nothing has ever seen. Not Amazon's the most successful company in the world. They're gonna put a lot of money behind this, and even if it's not as much as they think that you should think they should put it behind it, they're gonna put a lot of money behind it, and it just seems like Amazon's betting really good. They're betting a lot of money on this, and we'll see how it turns out. Because in June, just like I said, it's gonna be like a washing machine. The features that they're bringing in June to Twitch are gonna change the game. Again, I mean, they constantly game changing, but it's a lot of game changing they got going on. But they got the money. They got the money to make a change, And YouTube is just way behind. YouTube already has the features built in that I'm talking about. Well, they don't have the reverse features. The reverse features are interesting, which allows someone to basically reverse the view count, reverse the follower count, find those, discoverability, but creating a whole new auction house, a whole new game. A whole new game. This Twitch is creating games. That's what they're in the business of creating IP now. Brand new stuff, and I'm glad that I got to sit on here and talk about this stuff, because this is the type of stuff I've been thinking about, but I haven't really haven't thought it all out, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in to listening to this podcast. If you watched it live, thank you for tuning in, and then if you're watching this on the video on demand, either on YouTube, wherever you find this, go down in the link in the description below. You'll find all my social media links. You'll also see some gig economy opportunities. Also, you'll find financial resources and social media tools. And I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. And thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. Have a great weekend. And as they've been saying, happy Easter.